Hello, everyone. My name is Roxana Reed. Welcome to the Smart City Kids Middle School and High School Admissions Workshop. I am the educational consultant and founder of Smart City Kids. We so appreciate that you took the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. I want to tell you a little bit about our company. We're the leading admissions consultancy in New York City. We were the first firm to create the blueprint for what a student-centered admissions consultancy practice would look like. For more than 20 years, our consultants have successfully guided families and students from nursery school through college, boarding school, public, private, and special education programs with one guiding principle in mind, that children self-actualize and can meet their academic potential when we, as educators and parents, are guided by strong understanding of their full needs and connect those to the most ideally suited educational environments. Given the wide breadth of educational options in New York, we think parents are well suited to take advantage of them and their children's unique profiles and gifts. One more key feature to our firm is that all of our consultants are former colleagues of our panelists. They have all been in the seat of being former admissions directors themselves, which gives them the unique lens and characteristic of understanding the work that it takes to make admissions decisions. Lastly, I want to thank all of the partners that have supported Smart City Kids over the last years, starting with New York University, who've been our partners for over 20 years, Memorial Sloan Kettering, our partners for over 15 years, New York Presbyterian Hospital, who've been our newest partners, and the JCP Nursery School of Manhattan, where I've been the placement director for over the past 8 seasons, and First Presbyterian Nursery School, as well as Casablanca, along with over 40 corporations and nonprofit organizations that we support as educational partners. I also want to thank the team at Smart City Kids for helping to organize this workshop. Special shout out to Adriana Payne, our managing director, as well as Erica Papier, our business specialist, and Angela Zhang, our creative director. Now I want to turn to our panelists. In alphabetical order, I want to ask our panelists to each introduce themselves and their school, and to please share some thoughts. I want to begin with James Ha at Browning.
Hello, everyone. My name is James Ha, and I am the Assistant Director of Middle and Upper School Admission at the Browning School. Browning is an all-boys K-12 school with about 400 students located on the Upper East Side, and we are built around the idea that relationships are the key to a boy's success. Our community is a learning community where faculty members reach out to meet their students' needs and respond to a boy's passions and talents, and we foster a climate in which boys are both known and loved, and where they are seen and heard. We intentionally cultivate deep relationships that take boys' intellectual and emotional experiences seriously, and we invite you to come take a closer look at Browning this fall.
Thank you, James. I want to move over to Helene Jerome at Dwight-Englewood School.
Hi, everyone. My name is Helen Jerome. I'm the Dean of Admissions at Dwight-Englewood School. Dwight-Englewood is located in Englewood, New Jersey. It's very, very close to the city. It's closer than you think. And we have many students who come from the city to join us throughout our lower, middle, and upper school. So our school is co-ed. It's a campus school. We're on 45 plus acres, and our total enrollment of the school is about 1,015. We're pre-3 through 12th grade. I know we're focusing on middle and upper school, but we do have a continuing school all the way through. The philosophy of our school is really creating kids to meet a challenge of a changing world and making it better. Our emphasis is on our community, on the social emotional, as well as all the academic learning that goes on in the classroom. It's a beautiful campus. All of our sports facilities are on our campus. We run 9 buses in and out of the city, so lots of easy pickups, leaving in the morning and coming home, as well as a late bus in the afternoon, so everyone can enjoy being part of a play or musical instruments, or as well our athletic facilities. So we take in a bunch of new kids in 6th and 7th grade, as well as in 9th grade, but I'm sure we'll get to more details of that soon. So we enjoy our New York families coming to visit us and finding We call ourselves a hidden gem. So we're excited for you to come visit us.
Thank you, Helen. I'm going to turn it over to Caroline Hubble at Fieldston.
Thank you. My name is Caroline Hubble. I am the Director of Admissions here at Fieldston for our middle and upper divisions. We are a pre-K through 12 school with 2 lower divisions, a middle school and an upper school. Ethical Culture Fieldston School was established in 1878 by Felix Adler. He started the school with the mission of educating individuals who would go out into the world and make it a better place in accordance with ethical ideas. So our ethics curriculum really is embedded in everything that happens at the school. We place a great value on academic rigor, like I said before, ethical-based education, and as well as progressive education. We are an all-gender school. We are located in the Riverdale section of the Bronx on a campus. One of our lower divisions is actually located in the city on 63rd and Central Park West. But I sit up on our Riverdale campus. Similar to Dwight-Englewood, we have a lot of buses that bring students up here we have students coming from Manhattan, the Bronx, as well as from New Jersey and Westchester. So students are coming from all over to our 4 divisions. We look forward to seeing you all in the fall as you go through this process of applying to middle and upper school. And I will then turn it back to Roxana.
Thank you. I will turn it to Liz Kavanaugh at Nightingale.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Kavanaugh from the Nightingale Bamford School. I oversee our middle and upper school admissions and financial aid program. Nightingale is a K through 12 girls' school located on the Upper East Side. We were founded in 1920 by 2 women, Miss Nightingale and Miss Bamford, whose vision to educate both the minds and hearts of girls still holds true today. We have about 720 students in all 3 divisions, and we're all here in one schoolhouse on 92nd Street. We have students living in every borough, New Jersey, Westchester, Long Island. Our students hail from over 100 zip codes. Nightingale's mission is to inspire girls to go beyond barriers. We intentionally craft all elements of our infrastructure, the curriculum, the schedule, the extracurricular offerings, to ensure that our students are seen, heard, and valued, and are empowered as graduates to question the status quo with confidence, empathy, resilience, and reason. I am the sole representative of girls' schools here, so I do encourage families who are already interested or maybe going down the road of becoming interested in girls' schools to check out the International Coalition of Girls' School website. This website hosts a ton of data and research on the benefits of girls' schools and is a good resource for families navigating the admissions process while looking at girls' schools. So our main entry points for middle and upper school are 6th and 9th grade. Like many of my colleagues here, we do accept applications to the off years, and enrollment in those grades is based on space.
Thank you, Liz. I'm turning it over to Tasha Richards at Poly Prep.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tasha Richards. I'm the Director of Admissions, Enrollment and Financial Aid for a 3-year program through grade 12 at Poly Prep Country Day School. Poly was founded in 1864. We are an all-gendered day school. Our middle and upper school students are housed at our 26-acre campus in Dyker Heights, Brooklyn. I'm often asked sort of what is a typical Poly Prep student? And I hope that I should know the answer to this, as I have 4 of my own children at Poly. And I think I would probably describe our community as diverse in background. As some of my colleagues have mentioned, we also have a lot of buses that bring students to campus every single day. We have 43 buses that bring kids from all 5 boroughs of New York City. We are diverse in interests. I think one of the benefits of being at a campus school is a lot of robust programming. So we have students that are pursuing passions in visual and performing arts, robotics, speech and debate, athletics, and a lot of other things that they have an interest in or a spark of a new passion. And I think we would say we're diverse in thought. Our academic classes are very much alive with lots of debate and conversation that allow students to really bring their full self to the classroom each and every day. I would sort of characterize our middle school program as exploration and discovery with lots of options and choice, as well as a number of community building pieces that we have ingrained in our program for students. And our upper school program really sort of building students with independence and confidence and sort of building up critical thinking. Lots of it sort of rooted in a liberal arts foundation in terms of that experience, but then giving students lots of flexibility to sort of create their own educational journey through lots of academic like elective choice, advanced courses, etc. So lots of ways where students can also sort of take leadership is something that's sort of ingrained in our upper school program. So I think, poly prep students come to poly to be academically challenged, really pursue their passions and extracurricular activities, and then ultimately bring their full selves to a pretty diverse and vibrant community.
Thank you, Tasha. I'm turning it over to Tracy Dansker over at Riverdale.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Dansker. I'm the Director of Middle and Upper School Admission here at Riverdale. I'm also an alum of the class of 2006 and a very proud parent of a student who just finished pre-K. So I'm excited to be with you this afternoon. Riverdale is a pre-K through 12 all-gender school located on 2 campuses in the Bronx, right down the road from my friend Caroline. And we have about 27.5 acres between our 2 campuses. We have about 1,300 students, 48% of whom identify as students of color, hailing from 117 different zip codes. We have a 5-to-1 student faculty ratio and a really robust about $12 million financial aid budget. So those are just some numbers for you to think about as you think about who we are relative to some of the other schools you're looking at. Our guiding principles focus on mind, character, and community. When we talk about mind, we certainly think about our tremendous academic program focused on interdisciplinary studies and experiential programming. We really value curiosity and we emphasize critical thinking and asking good questions across all of our disciplines. We think about character. We think a lot about developing purpose, helping students to become global citizens, making change in the world for good. And when we think about community, we really think in all of our interactions, how do we make Riverdale a place where each and every individual who's a part of our community feels like they belong? Obviously, we build character and community in our classroom spaces, but we also have a tremendous program outside. Our co-curricular programs span from our science research labs to our fields to many, many other options on the stage and so on and so forth. So I'm really excited to get you on campus. I think the best way to get to know Riverdale is to spend a little bit of time with us, but hopefully we'll be able to share a little bit today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to turn it over to Molly at St. Anne's.
Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Scissors. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission at St. Anne's, focusing on high school admissions in particular. I run the full high school admissions process. St. Anne's is a pre-school 3 through 12th grade co-ed school in Brooklyn Heights. Pretty much every train stops within just a few blocks of our school. I'm finishing my 17th year at the school. A lot of these amazing schools have a lot of overlap. I'm just going to highlight maybe 2 things that makes St. Anne's a bit different. One of those things is that we consider the arts in particular as co-curricular. So they're not something that you get to you do after school or that you get to choose 1 or 2 and that's it. We value them just as much as we value our academics. So, we have an 85-page high school course catalog from which to choose classes. And that's a mix of all academics, but also visual art, theater, dance, music. So one of the great things about St. Anne's is it has the incredible rigor and choice in the academics, but also a really rich arts program side by side. Another notable thing about St. Anne's is that we don't give grades. We don't give letter or number grades at any point in your time at St. Anne's, whether you're a kindergartner or a 10th grader. We instead use lengthy written narrative feedback for all the things that you do at St. Anne's, whether it's a math test, an English essay, or much longer narrative feedbacks in lieu of report cards. That is the important things for now. I really, really hope to meet some of you watching this when the process starts in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. I'm going to turn it over to Gavin at Trinity.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gavin Boyce. It's great to be here on behalf of Trinity School. Trinity is located on the Upper West Side on 91st Street, specifically between Columbus and Amsterdam Avenue, in the heart of the Upper West Side. It's 392,000 square feet. So it's a school with a lot of space. It's 5 buildings interconnected, kindergarten through 12th grade. And so there are separate buildings for each division, and everything again is connected. There are also 3 outdoor spaces, which we're very proud of, a rooftop turf field, a tennis court turf field, and also what we call the Commons, which is a space where we host concerts, different recitals, and kids can go out to eat and things like that. I would say Trinity is known for the academic rigor, but I'd also like to share that it's a very supportive space. It's also a school that's very relational. A school where you're going to get to know faculty and faculty are going to get to know your kids. A wonderful place, a holistic place, a place that's also more diverse than most people think, which is something we're proud of. The best way to get to know Trinity is to visit us during the fall. We will open our applications in September. And I guess we'll go more into that later on. But it's great to be here and share Trinity with you.
Thank you very much. I think that we're going to turn into questions. We have a very big panel today, so I'm going to try to be as efficient as possible. I want to know something. A lot of times families ask us about what makes for a successful experience in a school, and what exactly should the student attributes look like? And particularly, how do you guys prioritize what those attributes for that middle school and high school applicant, what those attributes should look like for a successful experience for that student?
I'm happy to answer that.
Yeah.
I think at Dwight-Englewood, it's really about getting to know the students and the families. We do involve the parents in the process as well, because we truly believe when we take in a student, we're taking in a family into the Dwight-Englewood community. So for us, it's important to meet anyone who's involved with the student's life, a guardian, a parent. And so that's really important. I think what's really important for us is that it's a process that works both ways. We want the families to get to know who we are. And we really encourage families to come visit the campus. Our tours for middle school and upper school are led by our students. So they can really get the experience of what it's like to be at Dwight-Englewood rather than just being with an admissions associate. So they can really feel more free to ask questions that they have. So that piece is super important for us, because as much as we're trying to figure out the right families and kids to be at the school, we want the students and the families to make the match with us, that this resonates to them. In terms of this makes sense, like, they're excited about when they come here and what they're seeing and what they're hearing, and then it makes sense for the student. It's a combined relationship as we go through this process. So I think that that's really important, and more important than ever is to just get a sense of the authentic student, really just getting to know who you are, good, bad, strengths, weaknesses, we all have it. But to really just understand who you are as a student, and bring that to us to just really get to understand you as an academic child, but also as a social emotional being, as your interests, what excites you, and really just get to know you in the small amount of time we have to do that process. But there are a lot of different things that we offer, as I'm sure all the schools do, with open houses, open doors, tours, but to really just get the interactive experience to really get to know the students who are applying to Dwight-Englewood. Hopefully that's helpful.
That's incredibly helpful. Liz, I saw your hand go up as well. Do you want to share some thoughts?
Yeah, just to piggyback on Helen, I think the mindset to have as families is our mindset as admissions directors, is that your children are going to make our schools better, not the other way around. So it's really important that all of the students we are bringing into our classes are all very different. They are all going to enhance our classrooms, the way content is learned, taught, discussed, everything in their own authentic ways. So we really don't want any specific mold of attributes or characteristics or anything throughout the admissions process. We really want their true selves. And we know that those students and all of their diverse attributes will make our school even greater.
That's helpful. I think, this question came up as well, which I think is sort of tangential to this question, which is, what is important for you to learn in a student interview? Right? Like why are you doing these interviews? What is important to learn?
Similar to what Liz and Helen were saying before too, is we really want the students and the parents to bring their true selves to this process, especially in the interview, because that's really our chance to get to know the students and who they are and what they really want to get out of high school or middle school. So I often ask questions about, what are you really looking for in terms of high school? What kind of community do you want to be a part of? So it's important that students can talk about who they are as people and understand who we are as a school. And is that a place where they will thrive? I mean, we're all good schools. We're all a little bit different from each other. Our school offers a lot of different types of classes and choice in terms of classes, as well as clubs and other activities. So it's important that students, when they come to the interviews, that they are knowledgeable about what we do offer and are able to talk about what they might take advantage of in terms of a school of our size. Are they able to do well in academics and also take advantage of our sports or advantage of our arts program and or both, in clubs, affinity groups, things like that. So we're really looking for students who can take advantage of what we offer as a school. And that's what we are trying to learn in an interview and make sure that they want to be here. I mean, the most important thing is that the student wants to be at the school and they can see themselves at that school as well as their parents can see them there.
It's related to what others are saying, but many, many years ago, I remember doing an interview when I first took my job at Riverdale, and I interviewed this really lovely student, and we were talking about literature. She was really interested in English and really loved reading. And when we got into talking about books she really loved, she hesitated when I asked about it. And you could tell she was really struggling to answer my question. And so I rephrased it, thinking maybe I had not made it clear. And it came out that she really wanted to tell me she loved Harry Potter, but her family had shared that she should probably say something more impressive, right? And so it didn't count against the kid. I actually loved the kid. I remember, I mean, she's a grown adult. But I think the point is that it's important to talk to your children about what they can expect out of this process so that they don't feel blindsided, that they feel prepared, that they feel confident. But it's also important to help them feel confident in who they are, not who you think someone wants them to be. This is a great time to get to know your kid a little bit. As I've been at Riverdale for many years. I know lots of middle and upper school students who don't always talk to their parents quite as much. Make this the summer you talk to your kid and really help them think about who they are and celebrate that with them so that they're ready to celebrate it with us in an interview. Because as many people have shared, we're looking to create, diverse, inclusive communities that don't have one specific type of child. So feeding your child information that they're not actually that comfortable sharing can be very hard for them. It's the same thing as a dress code, right? You really want your child to look their best, but if they don't wear a tie regularly, they're going to be really uncomfortable. They don't need to wear a tie in an interview. Is it the best day to wear their least attractive outfit? Maybe not. You want it to be appropriate, right? But in the same way, helping your child be themselves and be proud of that comes through in an interview, and they're much more comfortable sharing with a complete stranger about themselves if you've helped them feel really good about who they are and about what they want to share. So I'm all about preparation, but preparation for talking about who you are, not preparation to talk about someone you think you should be.
I so agree with that. I think authenticity really matters, and that's key. James, why don't you share some thoughts?
Thank you. So to echo what others have said, I mean, of course we want the students to bring their authentic selves to the interview and to campus. But furthermore, because our student interviews are conducted in a group format, we're looking for students who possess a disposition to engage, students who are willing to collaborate closely with their partners, and we're also looking for kind-hearted kids. I know this sounds a bit cliche, but Browning is really known for its warm and tight-knit community, and we take kindness very seriously. It matters a lot to us, and we want students who are willing to bring others into the conversation and create spaces for other students to contribute and kind of make their voices heard. So we're looking for students who are ready to bring the best out of people, and this is one of the key traits that we look for and that we're hoping to learn throughout the student interview.
This is a really helpful conversation, I'm sure, for many parents. So thank you for adding thoughts to them.
If possible, I'd like to add one more thing. I think it's just important to do research. I think a lot of times applicants don't always like research the school that they're visiting, don't ask questions about the football team if the school doesn't have a football team, for example. So it's just really important to gauge for yourself or for the family to gauge for themselves, why is the school a good fit? And then ask questions to sort of get a better understanding of that. So whenever your children are in an interview, they should also have great questions to help them get a better sense of the school and why it's a good fit for them.
That's incredibly helpful. Thank you. I do have a question. As we're talking about interviews and process, would you guys mind, because there's been some changes, right, over the years, just sharing by a show of hands, how many of you are requiring testing this fall? Oh, okay. All of you. That's enough. Audience, all of them. I want to switch a little bit and ask a different question that has come up quite a bit in our conversations with families from across the city and across the country and across the world that we've spoken to. Tuition is high, right? And it continues to rise. What do you think the value proposition is around independent schools? And what do you think that independent schools have to offer as families toggle between the question of public versus private, whether they should stay in the city or, leave the city? And obviously you'll talk about your own schools. So I welcome you doing that.
A couple things that come to mind right away are just our resources, the actual facilities, the things that we can offer, the individuality. I think you're going to get a much more individualized experience for your child, smaller class sizes, much more direct access to teachers and administrators. And I also think just a lot more being able to tailor your child's experience, or your child being able to tailor their experience to their interests. Because I think, all of our schools probably have a lot more choice within our programs in middle and especially high school in terms of what your child wants to get involved in, both academically and outside of school, and in terms of athletics and clubs and affinity spaces and all those types of things. A lot of these schools can feel almost like mini colleges in a way, just in terms of, the amount of freedom and choice they have, especially at St. Anne's. We give our kids an incredible amount of freedom to choose their path through school. Like I said, our course catalog is large. It's the size of a small liberal arts college course catalog. But it's like college with a much, much stronger safety net, because we are still a middle and high school. So a lot more people with eyes on your student, a lot more resources for academic issues or social emotional issues, like that. So,
I love this question because I feel like it's so personal to me. Yes, I have my own children in independent school, but I also had the opportunity to attend independent school myself. I went to a Quaker school in Philadelphia, but I was a student in public school in Philadelphia Public Schools in the middle school at the time. And the opportunity to attend an independent school was so life-altering and so trajectory changing, not only for myself as a young person, but also for my entire family. And I just think, sort of the dedication of the teachers, or smaller class sizes, the exposure that I think these schools can offer students in so many different experiences and opportunities. For myself, I never even traveled out the country before attending a sort of an international trip with my 11th grade class. There were just things that I was exposed to that I don't feel like I would have had the opportunity to be exposed to in other school systems. The number of adults that were very focused on my success and very focused on my ability to sort of thrive in a very unfamiliar environment, which was for me when I first came to independent school, was really impactful, and teachers and connections I will always continue to have even today into adulthood. And so I think that there was so much opportunity and resource, as Molly mentioned, at schools of this nature. I will also say, and I'm not sure if there'll be a question down the line with respect to financial aid, as I was a student who went to independent school and full financial aid, the opportunity for families to attend these independent schools where finances would have naturally or historically been a barrier. I think many schools are trying to really utilize their robust financial aid program to help families and sort of build more, create more of those keys, have those doors be more access to families who, for whatever reason, wouldn't have had the opportunity before. And I think that that is something that all of our schools are trying to build out and build up and sort of create those opportunities for families.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important when we talk about tuition and a consistent rise of tuition, that we also pair that with financial aid as an opportunity. But also there's a swath of families in the middle of that who, are caught where it's like, tuition rises, but I'm not eligible for financial aid. And this conversation becomes incredibly difficult. And I think both Molly and Tasha provided robust answers to why it may be compelling to consider independent schools, all of the opportunities, all of the resources, the very nuanced way in which students actually get to be seen in a classroom because of the student to teacher ratio. I also want to say that if you're one of those families sort of caught in that space, it's also okay, right, to understand your quality of life and to understand that quality of life matters above everything else, above everything that everyone else has going on, and why they may want to choose independent schools. You have to kind of be incredibly reflective around what the quality of life is and why it may or may not work for you to go in one direction or the other. Because we're living in very stressful times and we have to do what's best for our families. So, be incredibly reflective about what it means to you to go in one direction or the other, but center it all about your families, okay? Let's move on to other questions. What, if any, myths or bad information would you like to correct or clarify about the admissions process at your school? I find myself, and I know Adriana does too, we find ourselves constantly correcting myths about your school and other of our colleagues that we've learned right over the years. No, that's actually not true. It is not true that this school does this. And
10-year-olds don't have resumes.
Right. It's like we would love to give you the opportunity on this forum to share some myths that you've heard or landed on that you think, we'd love to correct the record. Anyone?
I would say two things. Number one, and most importantly, this does not have to be this long, drawn out, anxiety producing process. Sounds cliche, but you should have fun with this. Enjoy it, get to know schools. Important to keep in mind here, you are the customer. You should be making informed decisions based on what's important to you and what will be the best school, set of schools, etc., where your individual child will be the most successful. Now, alongside that, I also want to say that you should feel free to cast a wide net. Families do not need to specifically pinpoint individual schools or a specific set of schools. I know for us as a girls' school, we benefit tremendously from families who go into the process not interested or aware of single-sex schools, who simply inquire, go to our website, attend one of our events in the fall, and are simply able to just learn about girls' schools. I think all of us here, we want you to look at all of the schools. Some have very specific, academic focuses or are co-ed, single gender, whatever it is. And to ensure that you are casting that wide net because you have such a privilege of being in New York with such a wide spectrum of schools, that you should take advantage of that, definitely in the initial kind of inquiry, top of the funnel stage.
This is very particular to St. Anne's. I think a lot of people feel like they hear about how much we value the arts and how incredible our arts program is, and they feel like, oh, well, if one particular type of art is not my thing, I can't apply to St. Anne's. Or if I apply to St. Anne's, I have to have a portfolio. That is not true. While we do value the arts, we have a lot of kids where arts is not their main thing. They're taking arts classes and they're enjoying them thoroughly, and they're dipping their toes in all sorts of different things, theater class, a painting class, but you know, they're huge science and math kids, you know, and we kind of have to push them to try a little bit of the art. It's really, you do not have to consider yourself an artist to apply to St. Anne's. I think you just have to be open to the arts and trying them out and appreciating them. But we have, like I mentioned, a really, really rich and rigorous academic program, a ton of electives, independent studies in those areas. So yes, you don't need to have some sort of art portfolio that you just like whip together because you think St. Anne's wants to see one if you are not an artist. That's not something you need to focus on during your interview. That is absolutely okay. There are a lot of kids at St. Anne's who are like would not consider art their thing. So
I'll also share that, and I think I speak for all of us when I say we're incredibly thoughtful about this process. We're reading all the materials. We're meeting in pretty large groups to discuss student applicants and find the right match. For Trinity, I'll say that you know, it's beneficial to do well academically as far as like grades and test scores. However, you do not need to have like a perfect score, you know, to get into Trinity or present in a way like you're only focused on academics. We are looking for athletes, musicians, singers, folks who are going to add to the community in a lot of different ways. And so I just wanted to share that tidbit.
I'll just jump in and more broadly, and then something maybe specific to Polly. I think more broadly, just my team is made up of New Yorkers, sort of born and bred New Yorkers, and they all grew up in different types of educational systems here in New York City, and all have very specific narratives around all of our schools being from New York. I am not from New York, I'm from Philadelphia. And so I think that sometimes either whether you're born and bred New Yorker or you're sort of learning about the process, each school tends to maybe have a bit of a narrative around them. And I think I would just encourage all families to really get to know the schools for you, for yourself, really see how broad and breadth the options are for each school, even though they may have niches. And I say that specifically because I think Poly historically has been known as a very sports or athletic school. But I think that the fact that we have such an incredibly robust arts and theater program, visual arts as well. We just opened a new performing arts center, and also sort of have a nationally ranked speech and debate team, robotics team, et cetera. Those areas have been such incredible spaces for kids to come and shine in the areas that really are passionate for them. And so I would just encourage families in general to really get to know all aspects of every school, despite the fact that they may have sort of narratives or stories around them that are maybe historical to sort of how they have been in the past.
Good, thank you. All right, so let me turn to another question. What's the role of parents as kids get older? You know, they're in middle school and upper school. What do you consider the role of parents in schools?
I mean, I can speak for Fieldston, obviously. We interview all parents and or guardians who have a student who's applying to our school for middle and upper school, as well as our lower divisions. We think it's really important that parents share with us their image and their information about their student that they've seen at home and about that student as they've gone through, say, pre-K through 5th grade or pre-K through 8th grade, whatever year they're applying for, so that we can get their insights. We really do see parents as partners in this process, even in the middle school and the high school. And there is a lot of communication that happens between parents and faculty and staff. And also we have school psychologists here. So we want to make sure that we're learning from the parents about their authentic self and how they want to be partners with us in terms of shepherding their students through, 6th grade through 12th grade and then on to the next step after high school. So they do play an important role. I wouldn't say it's more focused on parents, but we also like to hear about how parents maybe want to get involved in our school as volunteers. And we definitely have parents who do chaperones on trips and things like that, and also who are involved in different affinity spaces that are just for parents at our school. So we want to learn more about them and how they might want to be involved in our community as well, because it's a big commitment financially, obviously. So we want to make sure that the parents are eager to be our partners as we teach these students and get them ready for the outside world.
To piggyback on that, we are a school as well where we interview the children, but we also interview the parent. So, and that's all the way through. Obviously, with the little kids, we do screenings because that's too intimidating. But in the middle and the upper school, we interview the student with the parent, and that is critical because, as I said at the beginning, we are a community, and the community is a community of students. It's a community of parents. And it's so important to us because the parents it needs to be the same core values, right? Like, you know how you want to raise your child. And there's certain things that you'll come here that will resonate with you and that will make sense for you and your children. And then there might be certain things that don't make sense for you. Maybe you were looking more for a religious school, or more, an all girls school makes more sense, or an all boys school. So it's really important for us, for the parents to get to know us and to really understand who we are as a school. So everyone is working together as a partner to support your child. As I say, and I'm a parent of 3 girls who have all gone through Dwight-Englewood. It's not when your child's doing well. When your child's doing well, life is good. It's actually when there's a struggle or something going on that you really want to make sure that you can support your child. And that support needs to come from the school, as well as from the parent, as well as from, there are lots of services that we all offer to help support children. But I think especially in the middle school years, it's really important. Those are tough years, no matter what school you're at. These are tough years to navigate. And we really want to make sure that the parents understand what we do here as well, and to understand what their goals are for their children. What are they looking at? And I think that for us, it's very, very important. Obviously, for a new 11th grader coming in, not as important, because the student's different. But definitely in middle school and 9th grade, it's important for us to get to know the parent as well.
Just something really practical. I think in the admission process, I really see families, whether it's parents, guardians, the adult in the child's life, as essential to help your student organize. I think it's incredibly normal for kids at this age to be developing their executive functioning skills. But one of the things that can be challenging about the admission process, as much as we try to align, if you are looking even at just independent schools, we're not all aligned in dates in terms of when things are due. How we set up our interviews, James mentioned group interviews at Riverdale in 6th grade, it's a group interview. In 9th grade, it's group and individual. There are different components and pieces to the application process that can be just a lot to keep track of. And so for me, just one note is that as the adult in your child's life, whoever that may be, it would be really helpful for you to take on the role of organizer, so that your child has that type of support and doesn't have to worry as much about scheduling and did I get it in on time. You can focus on that, and they can focus on bringing their best selves to school each and every day, and being their best selves in their interviews and so on and so forth. Certainly at Riverdale, I would agree with my colleagues. We really look at families as in partnership with us. And I think our number one priority is that the adults in the child's life support their child, whether that is a moment of struggle or a moment of celebration, of course. If you have the time and energy to join our parent and guardian community at large, there are many opportunities at Riverdale for families to be involved in middle and upper school. But again, the number one priority is your child and their trajectory here. And so if all you have to give is the support for your kid, that's good enough. If you've got more, we have plenty of ways for you to participate.
Thank you. We do have a question in the Q&A, so I'm going to bring it up. The question is, can you share guidance on when children with late birthdays should apply for middle school? For example, will they move from 5th grade to 6th grade, 5th grade to 5th grade, or 6th grade to 6th grade?
I think you should probably ask each school a little bit that you're interested in, because I think policy-wise, it can be slightly different. I can speak to Riverdale. We have an entry point at 6th grade, and we do not have an entry point at 5th grade. So if you are interested in your child continuing on into 6th grade, my suggestion would be to apply to 6th grade, and in your parent guardian interview, discuss that option with the interviewer that you have, the admission officer who's speaking to you, or frankly, you can call our office in the fall and talk to me before you apply, which would also be fine. But I think that the late birthday question, at least for us, becomes a lot more about the family choice and less about what we dictate. In our lower school, in our kindergarten, and I see others nodding in agreement, so I imagine it's similar. In kindergarten, we have a relatively strict cutoff. There's some wiggle room, but that wiggle room is narrower. When you come up to middle and upper school, because we see applicants from all different types of schools that have a variety of different cutoffs, we tend to focus on the grade you were previously in, and if you'd like to move forward or if you'd like to repeat. And we really decide to try to be in conversation with you about what might serve your child best, because it isn't always as much of a one-size-fits-all when you get to middle and upper school. For some families, they've been waiting for the opportunity to repeat, and for others, they feel very strongly that their child shouldn't. So at Riverdale, we tend to end up with like over a year to a year and a half of an age range in our middle and upper school grades because of those fall birthdays that come to us later.
Thank you. I want to ask a question that I asked in our last panel. Many of you are friends to Smart City Kids, and I know that what brought me to this work is I'm anchored by the idea of supporting families to understand who their children are, to see them, right, in their truest and most authentic self, and helping them through the journey of finding the school that becomes part of their community and their tribe, so that they can self-actualize. Like, that's how I anchor my work. I'm a social worker by training, and I think I dangle this carrot that says admissions, and then through that journey where everyone's trying to get into school, I really talk about parenting, admissions, and a vision for what your family and your life could look like, right, through the lens of admissions. And that's what anchors me in my work. I wonder, for each of you, you know, what brought you to the schools that you're in right now, and what actually keeps you there? If you could share some thoughts.
Thank you. I had a whole other career before I got into admissions. I worked in advertising for about 20 years. And I've had family and friends who sent their students to Fieldston, starting in pre-K through 12. And full disclosure, my son went here for a while too. So I've always been a big believer in the mission of our school here. And I very much, one of my favorite parts of this job is to meet all these wonderful people. I get a real thrill in the fall of talking to these students and talking to their parents and understanding who they are as people. And it gives me a lot of hope for the future of our world, which can be a little daunting right now. So I started here as a tour guide, and I worked at ethical culture for a while, and then I gradually moved into admissions in middle and upper school, and I've just really enjoyed it. And I do enjoy coming to work every day, mostly because I love being in this community, which is very solidly grounded in a mission that I believe in. So it's been a great place to be for me, and it's kind of how I came here. And then I feel like my advertising and marketing background has given me a lot of help as I talk to families about the school and who we are as a school, and try to help them understand who we are as a school.
Thank you. I think that there are many things I think sort of keep me here or drew me to Poly Prep, but I think for me, the guiding force has always been my own children. They came here before me. We were a family here before I started working here for many years. Their enthusiasm, their excitement, their happiness to come to school every day keeps me wanting to do this work and being engaged in this work. And I've got, 4 kids in 3 different divisions, and those middle schoolers and upper schoolers that I have in my home are critical little creatures. And, I think that the fact that they love coming to school, love the community in which they are a part of, love being exposed to new and different things each and every day. They're all very different students and learners, and their passions are very different. Keeps me excited about bringing in an incredible community of people each and every year when we go through this process, to surround them with lots of sort of love and community members, to surround my own family with lots of that as well. And so I think they sort of drew me here, and the community in which I'm a part of continues to keep me here.
Okay, well, my story for Dwight-Englewood, I always say it when I come to admissions. I actually graduated from Dalton, longtime New Yorker. I'm laughing here because my father went to Poly Prep, my mother went to Riverdale. We're like a real New York City family with 7 cousins I went to Dalton with. So when it came time for my girls, I had 2 of them in the city. We kind of did everything. And my husband went to Dwight-Englewood, and he absolutely loved high school in a way I just didn't understand how you could love high school that much. And he had come from public school, and Dwight-Englewood basically changed his entire life. And so we went to an open house with 2 young girls, and I walked in, and it resonated with me. I did what all you guys are doing, looking at schools, and it just kind of was like, oh, I kind of understand this. So this was 23 years ago. My daughter's now 28, and my other one's 26, and my youngest is 20. And at the time, we didn't have all the busing back and forth. So I actually picked up and left the city, which everyone in my family was like, where are you going? I didn't have a car or license, anything, moved to a house and like put my kids into Dwight-Englewood. So my kids have been all the way through, and I'm now an empty nester, but actually came as a parent. Like Tasha said, I was a parent, kind of threw into everything. My degree is in counseling psychology. And the school approached me and said, would you help us with admissions, with building up New York City? And I mean, I'm so grateful, beyond. What keeps me here are the students. I absolutely love the families. I love the students. We work really closely with tour guides. They brighten my whole day. My background really is lower school admissions. Love the little kids to no end. They just say it as it is. And it's really refreshing. But now I do all of lower, middle, and upper school. So I'm incredibly grateful to the school, but it is really a community. And I know New York, I know New Jersey, I kind of fit right into kind of what this all is. So anyone who ever wants to talk to me about it, I always have a lot to say. So, seen but everything, and Dwight-Englewood really it's a mix of all of that now. So I'm grateful, and thank you for having me today too.
Thank you.
Well, I am not a New Yorker. So I'm representing the non-New Yorkers here. But I loved hearing Tasha talk because I am an independent school grad. And also for me, truly transformative years exposed me to an entire new world that I would not have had the opportunity to experience where I grew up. So my career has been based on giving back to these schools, which have given so much to me and to my family. So it's such an honor to work at independent schools for me. For Nightingale specifically, I really appreciate the school's emphasis on students being really proud of their identities. I think Nightingale does a wonderful job, through our inclusive community and programming, to teach our students to really advocate for themselves as women. My personal experience has been witnessing our students not shying away from opportunities that may or may not historically be dominated by boys or men, whether that's an advanced class or a particular team or club or something where it might not be cool or whatnot a girl should do. I've really witnessed tangible evidence of just freedom of trial and experience and allowing space for growth, which is all supported by a very tight-knit camaraderie among the students, which just boosts confidence and momentum among them, for each of the students to really stand up and be themselves. So I'm super proud of that at Nightingale, and just very proud of independent schools in general.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Tracy.
So I already outed myself as an alum. So some of you can probably draw some connection as to why I ended up at this desk. But my background is college and law school admission, and I made my way into independent school admission at the suggestion of my best friend from graduate school, and who works at another independent school. Ultimately, I have stayed for a variety of reasons. But I think that relationships are really at the core of what I think independent schools can offer, and Riverdale is one of those places, and I think it's a highlight of who we are. You really are known here, and I think that extends beyond our student body to our faculty as well. There's been tremendous support for my growth. We talk a lot about being lifelong learners and inspiring our kids to be lifelong learners, and the school really does a nice job of supporting its faculty. We have so many people who have been a part of this community for 10, 20, 30 years, because it's a place that continues to allow the adults to flourish alongside the children. And I think the other thing that keeps me here is that it's not exactly the same as when I went here. And I really love that about Riverdale. It's a place that knows itself. It is true to who it is, and yet it's not afraid to change. And I think being a part of an institution that's rooted in something, but also willing to ebb and flow and do the research to become its best self in 2024 and educate kids today, not just the way that it educated me, is really an important feature for me. And it allows me to continue to feel really proud of who Riverdale is and to be a part of the community.
Thank you. So I'll make this quick. I am a proud alumnus of an educational access program here in New York City called the Teague Fellowship. And I know firsthand just how challenging this process can be at times, especially for families who are not familiar with the world of independent schools. I actually graduated from Fieldston in 2006, and that experience, it changed my life. It was absolutely transformative, and this is what anchors me as I do this work. And it's what inspired me to change careers a few years ago. I used to work in immigration policy, but I changed careers because I wanted to kind of pay it forward. And one of the key reasons why I joined Browning is because of its warm community and the care with which the school supports and engages students and families. And I absolutely love guiding families through this process, and it really does bring me a lot of joy. So that's why I do the work that I do, and that's why I'm at Browning.
Thank you. Molly.
When I came to St. Anne's, I knew nothing about the school. I knew nothing about the independent school admissions process. I'm from the Midwest. I went to my local public schools growing up, but I really wanted to work in education. I just wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So I ended up in the admissions office at St. Anne's, and I very quickly learned both about the independent school admissions process, but also about this incredible school, which is so wildly different from anything I experienced growing up, which, just a very classic, structured, standardized, big public schools, good schools, but very different from St. Anne's. Especially, I was especially fascinated by the idea of no grades and the freedom that gives children to try new things and to take risks, and to pursue what they love without worrying about failure in the sense of a bad GPA or a bad grade, something I was very obsessed with in school. So I very quickly drank the St. Anne's Kool-Aid. I love this place. Like I said, I've been for 17 years. It's such a unique, special school. And what's kept me in admissions in particular, because I did not know I wanted to go into admissions when I started this job, was just getting to meet the kids and getting to meet the kids every year. I mean, essentially my job is the same year after year after year, but it's the kids that keep it interesting, that keep it fun. The school or the city is just filled. I mean, it's like an embarrassment of riches. The school is just filled with all these incredible kids, and meeting them and talking to them and getting to know them is just so fulfilling to me. I could never have gone through this process as a middle schooler, as someone going into high school. They are all so brave for going through this process. I love, being part of it with them and guiding them through this, and just meeting a lot of really awesome kids in the city.
That's awesome. Gavin, you're the last one.
Last but not
Last
least.
but not least.
I was introduced to independent school through my dad. He actually attended collegiate through the ABC program. And then he thought it would be a good idea for me to attend private school as well. So I first started off at Fieldston and then transferred to collegiate. And I graduated from collegiate. I pursued public relations at first. And so I was working for the New York City Comptroller as a press officer for a bit. And then I worked for Black Enterprise Magazine. But I wasn't really as happy as I thought I would be at that place in my life. And so actually people started to sort of like pour into me and recommend other things that I could be doing with my skill set. Admissions was actually suggested, and then the Mountain School of Milton Academy, which is a semester program in Vermont, reached out to me like 2 weeks after our conversation with my dad. And I went out to Vermont where there's no cell phone reception, and saw a lot of my old teachers and fell in love. And it always saw that as a bend in the road to my admissions career. And I've been doing admissions ever since for the last, a bunch of years. What I will say though is Trinity to me is really similar to collegiate in many ways, and also like very different in like amazing ways. And so for me, it's being connected to like an intellectual environment, great people, great community. Being a part of building that community is really important. When I was at collegiate, I was the only Black student from 3rd through 7th grade, I think. And in hindsight, now that I've been in admissions, it's like, that seemed odd. And so it's neat to be on the other side. It's neat to be a part of the conversations and the thoughtful connections that I make within the admissions office and the school at large to ensure that we have a well-rounded, great group of students added to the community each year. So that's been really fun, not only at Trinity, but a bunch of other schools that I've been able to be a part of.
Well, I want to say thank you to all of you for the conversation, for providing some humanity to what feels like a process filled with transactions, right? Filling out applications, talking to robots at times, as they're doing their diligence, and trying to vie for a spot. I think that there's a deep human element to admissions that you all talked about. And Smart City Kids in our team, and me personally, we appreciate you humanizing this process and sharing with you your thoughts, your vision, your experiences, and all the reasons why you do what you do and why you are clearly so passionate about what you each do. So thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great summer, everyone.
Oh, yes, great. Happy summer.
Yeah.
Happy summer. Enjoy.